Some people have been confused as of late as to the connections that have been made or attempted to be made or alleged between the Lahaina Maui fires and Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, sustainability development goals, the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset, Klaus Schwab, UN, globalism. What is there anything to do with this? Not to mention the admittedly, I admit, heretofore unsubstantiated connections between directed energy weapons and the fires, and somehow Agenda 21 being a part of this. And in this hodgepodge, in this rather disparate, I think disjointed explication of what's going on, there's a kernel of relevance. It's critical here. It's something that we have to address. But before I do this, let me ask you respectfully to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and the like, and to listen carefully. Let's go back a little bit in time. This is my Dollar Tree globe. Now I think it's $1.25. In any event, this is a wonderful depiction of what we're talking about here. Now, if you and I were the richest, most powerful people in the world, we could do one of a couple of things. We could maintain our power and our control, as is now this fractionalized, differentiated groups of people with individual jurisdictions, individual sovereignty, individual currency, individual languages, individual frames of reference, individual identities within this pastiche, this patchwork, this mosaic of various countries and influences and tribes and languages and cultures. We don't want to do that. We want everything together. We want 4 or 5 different collective units that we control, which is easier for us, easier to control. We don't want to deal with France, and then we got to deal with the Italians, and then we got to deal with the Germans. No. We want unions, the European Union. That's been a smashing success. Maybe the North American Union. There was talk about that. Asian Union, the African Union, a reestablishment, the Great Reset, something that can reconfigure, reestablish, reconfigure the world into bigger brackets, bigger groups of sovereignty that are easier to control. Makes sense to me. What I would also want to do is I want to remove the United States from its incredible power to independently control aspects of the world, to control economies and energy and war policy. No, I want, if at all possible, to have the United States lose that, to supplant its authority by some other new form. Wouldn't it be great if all of a sudden we could have a group of people that come in, let's say a new president, I don't know, a Joe Biden or somebody, who comes in and says, we will now be a part of an international treaty, a United Nations, World Economic Forum treaty called either Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, Agenda 5050, Codex Alimentarius, sustainability, equity, focus, whatever it is. And we'll get the usual suspects, the barking seal, the left who has no idea what's going on. We'll get them somehow involved in this. And then we'll start talking about climate change. Climate change, which is one day going to be the subject of our lockdowns, not stuff like the usual, not pandemics, but climate. I don't want to get too ahead of this. So one day, let's say we sign a treaty, and this treaty says that we recognize that we have lost all control over guns, gun violence, gun deaths, gun carnage, gun this, gun that. And we now have subsumed under this rubric, under this jurisdictional control framework, under the auspices of the UN. And under the UN, we also cede our authority and our Constitution and our Second Amendment to them for these folks to determine what is best for us. And one day, maybe one day we'll have a UN tribunal here in New York, or maybe here in Los Angeles, that has been given the authority to prosecute, charge, incarcerate, deport Americans who violate not American laws, but global laws. See how that works? And many people will clap, yes. Whereas you and I would say, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? And then one day we might do something else. We might say that because of this incredible climatic versus climactic, this climate threat, we will cede further jurisdiction to some other, maybe in some ESG type of sustainability, whatever it is. Okay, fine. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is this leads many Americans, as has been the case since forever, to believe that globalism, which sounded rather benign, sounded rather good at first. Globalism. Didn't that sound great? Globalism. Oh, it's so wonderful. Globalism. That we would cede to this notion of globalism our independent authority and jurisdiction and the like. And furthermore, they worry that we would be doing this under a variety of different schemes. Now, some people may get it right. Some will call it Marxism. It's not Marxism. Some will call it socialism. It's not really socialism. Or communism. It's definitely not that. Is it a welfare state? Well, that sounds rather benign. But they know something's up. Now, somewhere along the line, during the course of this, there was the following, I don't want to say fiction. I don't want to pass necessarily on the, dare I say, the legitimacy, the authenticity, the accuracy of the thought. But let me tell you the way what people think. They have believed that there are ways to use weather, either weather manipulation, weather modification, weather control, weather tinkering, or other forms. The adaptation of Tesla waves and maybe being directed towards tectonic foci to initiate tsunamis, and it's a lot of things. Now, you might say, well, that's kind of crazy. In fact, Secretary of Defense William Cohen talked about this. He said that there are ways to use different forms of waves and energy, whatever, to initiate, to construct and to activate. Anyway, I don't want to get too much ahead of this. But if you think this is crazy, if you think that man has never wanted to affect weather or is able to affect weather, you have not been paying attention to what's been going on regarding geoengineering, formerly called chemtrails. But now just Google geoengineering, dimming and stratospheric spraying, and since Operation Popeye in Vietnam. You see, whenever you meet people and you bring this to their attention because they've never heard of it, they call you crazy. They think, oh, this guy's crazy. He's talking about Popeyes. What was that? Because they know nothing. And they will never, ever say, well, let me get down to brass tacks and learn about this. Oh, no. They would much rather mock you in the meantime. Okay. So they have been thinking this. that weather can be manipulated, weather can be changed, weather can be right. And that when you want to move, relocate, reconfigure huge swaths of real estate, some people have posited, suspected, believed that there are ways to either force fires or catastrophes or natural cataclysms that will cause people to move and abandon. Okay. And they have further gone and said that because of the fact that fire patterns, based upon their inspection and their understanding of how fire works and how conflagration moves, they believe that this is indeed evidence of such and such. Okay, fine. Now, this sometimes will create a perfervid sense of excited focus to create and promote and to advance this suspicion, sometimes with the use of evidence, sometimes without evidence, sometimes based upon just imagination fecundity, just merely the whimsical thoughts of whatever. But either way, no matter how you look at it, at the base, at the core, at its kernel, at its ground zero of thought, there exists something that is not at all far-fetched. The idea of how globalism and the like is setting this country and the world on a collision course, and that it is being accelerated and fueled not by ruthless dictators, but by an obeisant society that sits back and says, well, that sounds good to me. Globalism, well, Jerry, sounds good to me, doesn't it? Global, of course. A climate change, of course. Who possibly could be against it? Of course there's climate change, of course. Now, to go from that to directed energy weapons, that's another story. But I want people to understand at least, and I have been doing nothing throughout my various times with you to have you demand evidence before you make the leap into thinking that something that is incredibly nefarious is in fact proven to be true. In any event, understand that at the base of this, there is a very serious and real and legitimate fear based on a body of knowledge and lore and anticipated ideology and the like that is anything but far-fetched at all. You understand that? Okay, good. That's it. With people and their ability to speak freely and to opine, with that comes the concomitant, attendant, and understandable, sometimes right, I believe, to be wrong. Not because you're malicious, not because you're a conspiracy theorist, not because you're some misinformation, disinformation, lunatic, a lie spreader, but maybe sometimes your particular version of the truth or your particular of some anticipated danger focus or spectrum may be different than somebody else's. We must respect, we must understand, we must allow, we must permit, we must encourage people to opine freely. And in the event you find something that they say to be wrong or whatever, you just look the other way. You look the other way and you say, well, that's the way that goes. Maybe I don't agree with it now. Maybe I should look into it. That's all. But recognize that at the basis, at the focal point of a lot of this, there is at least something which I think makes sense and which I heartily invite you to review yourself. Thank you so much. Have a great and a glorious day. Please like what I am doing. Please like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And whatever you do, please, I ask you to comment as you see fit.